morning, engaging in a firefight with Rizian forces before seizing Navarre Castle, a Raisinid-era palaces. As the situation continues to evolve rapidly, it remains unclear who fired the first shots. Early reactions from across Morcopa are pouring in, calling for an investigation of the incident and asking for restraint from both sides. How hairy out of 10 do you see yourself? 10 out of 10. I'm a hairball. Did I drop? Did my stream drop? I only just got a notification. The Grand Duchy meeting with Duke Reinhardt about the incident. We have to be as neutral as possible. Be very diplomatic. Our convoy drove steadily across the cobbled streets of Old Town Pales. It was my second visit to the Pelesian capital since becoming King of Rizia, and the atmosphere this time was far more tense. The specter of the recent border incident cast a long shadow over our relations. I sensed it in the mood of everyone around me. Upon our arrival to Castle Reinhardt, we were greeted by the expressionless faces of the Pelesian delegation with no sight of the Duke himself. No pleasantries were exchanged, no diplomatic gestures were played to the cameras. We were instead quickly ushered inside as the reporters were blocked off. Nobody from my security detail, nor the welcoming delegation, spoke as we entered the room where the meeting was to take place. When the Duke entered the room, everyone else left. He didn't speak a word until we were completely alone. King Ramus, your rushed arrival here is a testament to the gravity of the situation. I wish I could say your visit today brings me comfort, but under these circumstances I find it hard to extend a warm welcome. I hope we could sort this problem out today, Your Grace. He extended his hand for a handshake. I shook his hand and we both sat down. He stared at me, brow furrowed. Look, I do not intend to allow Pales to be pushed around by Rizia any longer, so please listen to me very carefully. I listened to his words. If you think I'd let Rizia use an orchestrated incident as justification for, well, whatever you intend to do, you'd be wrong. Keep saying that your reports might be wrong, but you smell an inside job. Our reports suggest that the soldiers shot first. I came here to get some answers. Your reports suggest utter lies, Your Majesty. We know that your soldiers incited the incident. Our guards moved to the islet during the firefight simply because they were under fire. So please tell me, Your Majesty, what the hell happened at Navarre Castle? The reports we received can be deceptive. I fear we are both victims of a larger game. It's not my desire nor the desire of Rizzi to escalate tensions. We seek only to defend our sovereignty as you do yours. Defend your sovereignty, or expand it at the cost of ours. Reports suggest it was Rizian soldiers who fired first, instigating the conflict. Reports are not accurate, Duke Reinhardt. Rizia has no interest in provoking a war. The situation at the border was a defensive response, triggered by movements we perceived as hostile. What will we gain from this, Your Grace? Perceived as hostile, so we are to believe this was all a misunderstanding, he sighed. Look, Your Majesty, you speak of peace and cooperation, yet your actions at the border tell a different story. If you were bald posting, would you purposely flash everybody using your head? I'm not really a bald poster. I know there's a lot of bald posters, but I'm not one of them. Although if I was bald posting, I guess I would. That'd be funny. Our soldiers in that castle are surrounded by your forces. Want to have a dialogue? They must first be allowed to leave. Of course, they will be allowed to leave immediately. Good. Now, it is common for patrols to be near borders. It is another thing entirely to respond with gunfire. We were in close cooperation since we agreed on our deal in Arius, and right before the signing, this happens. This cannot be brushed aside as a misunderstanding. I'm not brushing anything aside. I suspect it could be an inside job. An inside job from Rizia. So you also think that your reports are untrustworthy. I'm starting to suspect that. It is a possibility indeed. What do we do about it then, Your Majesty? Simply nothing. Simply nothing. Disparity in reports is precisely why a joint investigation is critical. We cannot rely solely on biased perspectives. Biased perspective? Are you suggesting that Pales is fabricating its report? No, I'm not pointing fingers at Pales. It could be from within Rizzi as well. Confusion and paranoia. This perspective is a slippery slope, Your Majesty. Your call for a joint investigation seems more like a tactic to buy time, perhaps to strengthen your position. What is your suggestion, Your Grace? Neutral international observers must be involved for it to be a proper investigation. Agreed. And what if the investigation reveals actions that cannot simply be rectified? What if they expose a deeper plot or intention? Then we face those revelations together and act in the interest of peace and justice. It is a risk, but one I believe we must take for the greater good of our people. You might be right. So you accept to conduct joint investigations together with international partners? Yes. Good. We will not take any actions until the results are in. But until we clear this up, we have to cancel the official signing of our deal for the time being. Until we have clear answers, Pales will not be transferring the extraction rights to Rizia. Agreed. Great to hear. Thank you for coming to Pales. We both stood up and shook hands. Well then, have a nice day, Your Majesty. We'll see each other again soon. Oh, by the way, Miss Taurus will be staying with us until the investigations are complete. He smiled broadly. I took one last look back as I went outside to rejoin Lorento and tell him what I'd agreed to. Damn. Slungus! Hello, Roland. BDYJTB. Bring your own blowjob. Okay, gotcha. We'll do. Pales thanks King Ramus for the visit, for a swift trip to Pales to avoid further escalation of the tense situation. Also for future relations with Rizzi to be fruitful and based on mutual respect and understanding. The alignment of the 6 stars. Excellent. That's out of the way. Yes! Yes, this is where we establish the theocracy. The Port Jazan observatory tower stood tall against the night sky, stars twinkling overhead as my motorcade arrived beneath it. However, it now functioned more as a museum than as a site for astronomical observations due to the city's light pollution. Beautiful day, you're just that beautiful. Well, served as a relic of Rizzi's bygone era when the night sky's wonders were more easily unveiled. I'd come to meet the Grand Wise Man Ignatius for the alignment of the 6 stars, a rare celestial event that occurred every 200 years and was celebrated by Rushists worldwide. It was going to be difficult to get my mind off Vena's ongoing captivity in Pales, but I had to try. The alignment is sure to be impressive from this vantage point. Titus nodded towards the top of the tower. Testament to the grand design of our creator. Divus Lorzari was Rushist for God be praised. They say that God is never closer to us than he is during the alignment. Perhaps he will grace you with enlightenment. For long, Titus and I vacated our vehicle, entered the building, and ascended the spiraling staircase. The celestial event held the prospect of a connection to the divine, a moment I had been eagerly anticipating. We eventually reached the top. I was nearly out of breath, whereas Titus seemed to breeze through it without breaking a sweat. 2 guards greeted us at the door, one of whom opened it. I stepped inside while Titus remained behind. The dimly lit room carried the scent of aged books and burning incense while candles cast a soft glow. Sal was hunched over an altar adorned with astrological charts and religious artifacts, seemingly unaware of my presence. Sal, my trusted spiritual advisor, I've been looking forward to this visit. He looked up as if startled. Forgive my oversight, Your Majesty. I didn't realize you had entered. I've been immersed in arrangements for tonight's holiest of events. Think nothing of it. The wise man's face brightened. I'm delighted to have you here. Tonight's events promise to be truly exhilarating. I also wanted to let you know that Vina is in my thoughts and prayers. What Pales did was truly barbaric. I have faith she'll return safely. Halaita. As I was saying, it's remarkable that we're about to witness the same celestial alignment St. Ruick beheld so many years ago. As we celebrated this event, I'd be honored to retell the story if you'd like. I'm actually not familiar with it. Please, by all means. Excellent. Sal cleared his throat and began to pace around the room. In the tenets of Ruchism, there unfolds a celestial saga, the alignment of the six stars. Imagine St. Ruick, our venerable faith's architect, embarking on a sacred sojourn into the cosmic vastness. Guided by divine insight, St. Ruick witnessed the cosmic ballet, grasping the profound significance of this alignment. With spiritual brilliance, he condensed the 11 pillars into 6, aligning them with the celestial bodies now recognized as planets. Fascinating. Sorry to admit, I know less of this than I thought I did. No one is perfect, Your Majesty, as I was saying. St. Ruick perceived the alignment as a symbol of spiritual evolution, a journey towards a more harmonious interconnectedness of the cosmic and goldy realms. Each aligned planet embodying a pillar, becoming a torch, illuminating simplified teachings and a testament to the diverse perspectives within Ruchism. The alignment of the 6 stars acts as a celestial guide, directing the faithful on their journey to enlightenment. And that's what we are here to bear witness to tonight. Hamiat in the tenets of Ruchism. Well done. My pleasure, Your Majesty. If you'll follow me to the balcony, we can continue our discussion while bearing witness to tonight's event. I stepped into the cool evening air alongside him. Port Drazon sprawled beneath, its lights flickering like stars in the night. However, when I gazed upward, there were no stars to be seen, nothing but clouds blanketing the sky. Are you sure we'll be able to witness the alignment tonight? Cloudy skies may conceal the celestial wonders, but with patience the beauty may yet be revealed. The cosmos has a language of its own. Tonight, it speaks of destiny, the intertwining of fates. Intriguing. Please go on. Sal's eyes lit up, illuminated by faint moonlight. I shall first speak of the prevailing religious factions within Rizia and their opinions on the crown. He reached into his pocket and pulled out a creased sheet of paper. As a member of your council, I don't have many chances to commune with the Ruchis public. But a former student of mine, Severio Castellanos, has been rising in influence among the faithful. He sent me a message to pass on to you. Sal frowned. He speaks of pain, Your Majesty. His congregants complain of worsening living standards to the extent that some can no longer feed or house their families. With little help coming from the government, the onus is on the sanctuary to aid those in need. Perhaps increased collaboration between the Crown and Sanctuary could help make a difference in these vulnerable citizens' lives. I feel the same way, Your Majesty. If the current situation continues, I'm afraid it may lead to mass discontent, especially if more is not done to please the kingdom's Ruchist faithful. They, and I, certainly appreciated your efforts to restore the Arch-Sanctuary of Plavo. I didn't think it possible, but the renewed edifice is even more beautiful than before. The faithful are truly happy with your efforts. As for the Dassner's archpriest with whom I have conversed, they harbor no negative feelings towards you. Yet they haven't developed strong positive impressions either. Expanding the Grand Sanctuary of Salivus has greatly boosted your Majesty's popularity in the community. They view it as both a physical and symbolic preservation of their religious heritage. As a community composed primarily of Wezheks and Rumburgians, they appreciate the strides you've made in improving rights for foreigners. Sometimes difficult decisions must be made for the greater good, even if they impact personal likability. Difficult decisions indeed. As for the Galcondists, it goes without saying that the blasphemy law continues to strain relations. Overall, the Galcondist opinion of you is low. I would advise vigilance. Their radical beliefs, especially those of Dardian Galcondists, mean they may cause trouble if their needs are not met. Enough about the Rizia's religious communities think of me. Want to know about the opinion of Grand Wiseman Sal Ignatius? I'm honored that you want to know it, your Lord Majesty. If I may speak candidly, Your Majesty, I find your commitment to the traditional values of Rushism most inspiring. Your willingness to uphold our anti-blasphemy laws is a testament to the commitment. And I believe that continuing down this path will not only honor our history, but also cultivate a sense of unity and purpose among our people. Moreover, it will foster inspirational loyalty and a shared devotion that will stand as a beacon for generations to come. Divine guidance shapes our kingdom's path. Trusting in sacred values ensures our realm's prosperity. I have no doubt, Your Majesty. Through the acknowledgement of divine authority, we can create a kingdom united by earthly as well as spiritual governance. Truly embodies a life of piety. I'm glad to hear it. The prosperity of our realm is interwoven with our resolute commitment to the tenets of Ruchism. Sal took a measured step forward, his gaze flickering wide with both resolve and caution. There is something I have not yet told you. Towards the end of your father's life, he and I discussed the possibility of expanding religion's role in government. The residents recognized how holy this land was. Their ancient scripture spoke of a future leader who would serve as a conduit between God and the people to bring about Golconda, essentially the second coming of Saint Ruit. A future leader. Could that be me? It could. My visions have yet to bring clarity on the matter. I'm considering a visit to Derdia. Can we discuss how their theocracy operates? Absolutely. A faint breeze stirred Sal's robes as though he were considering where to begin. The Derdians' commitment to Golcondism influences every aspect of their daily lives, serving as a cornerstone of their cultural identities. I have faith that we will be able to bond over all our shared beliefs. Ruchism is Ruchism, after all. Pay a visit to Derdia, Your Majesty. You will see what I mean. If you seek diplomatic relations with the Derdians, you must prepare to clash with them over our differing interpretations of Ruchism. Especially concerning our bans on Golconda's worship and homosexuality. The Derdians' perspective on this differs significantly, to put it mildly. Let's not extinguish the divine flame we follow. Absolutely! We'll traverse any future negotiations with a keen eye on preserving our principles amid any necessary compromises. I looked up once more at the sky, but the clouds still obscured any trace of the alignment. Strengthen spiritual ties, given our nation's profound religious connection. Religion may be deeply intertwined with our two cultures, but, as I've said before, our beliefs are vastly different and would advise caution. Not to mention, such a move might cast us in an unfavorable light among our international partners. Given the ongoing conflicts we're involved in, the last thing we need is increased tension that could spill over into violence. Let's stick to religion, shall we? Very well, Your Majesty. I'm merely offering an honest evaluation. Religion's future could shape our kingdom profoundly. Indeed it could, for better or worse. We really just... Ooh. Maintaining fidelity to Ruchism is crucial, yet I'm cautious of the repercussions should we persist without change. I too share your concerns, however, I would encourage you not to take a course of action that undermines the core principles of the one true faith. I continued looking out over the city as Sal's counsel resonated in my mind. The circumstances weighed on me. I thought carefully about how to progress. As my mind roiled with questions, the heavens seemed to respond. The thick clouds that veiled the sky suddenly dispersed, revealing the fabled alignment. 6 planets shone above us in a perfect arc, each brighter than the last. Below, the city hushed as onlookers collectively witnessed the extraordinary phenomena. My God, it's even more breathtaking than I could have ever imagined. A divine spectacle indeed. Sal was too enthralled by the spectacle to hear me. The 6 tenets of Ruchism, Your Majesty, each of them guiding a beacon in the darkness, shedding light on our own past and the days to come. I remember the vision Sal foretold during the consecration of the king's ceremony. Fractured crowns, soldiers of war, the lovers, swarms of birds and 300 three-headed monsters. Now I know how Saint Ruit felt all those years ago. Sal looked at me tenderly. Your Majesty, I must know. You are clearly a man of faith. Is it your intention to further infuse the faith into all aspects of the kingdom's government? God has spoken to me. The only viable path forward is to establish a holy kingdom governed by the doctrine of Ruchism. Sal's face gleamed with a radiance surpassing that of the stars above. Your Majesty, your power is a guiding light that can illuminate the path of righteousness. By issuing decrees and government mandates aligned with Rushism's principles, its teachings could permeate throughout the kingdom. It would be an honor for me to accompany you on this journey towards enlightenment. This is the right path for Rizia. I can feel it in every fiber of my being. Yes, Your Majesty, so can I. If this ultimately becomes the Crown's policy, it's crucial to have a trusted advisor by your side. Someone who has devoted every moment of his life to studying and comprehending the nuances of Rushism. The Grand Wiseman took a step towards me, perhaps even going as far as to reassess the role of the Grand Vizier. Yes. To a higher governmental role aligns with our vision for a holy kingdom. Replacing your uncle would have to be done with the utmost sensitivity, of course. The opportunity to reshuffle your royal council is still several years away, but I do hope you keep the possibility in mind when the time comes. Sal and I said our goodbyes before we parted ways. As I stepped out of the room, Titus greeted me with a brief bow. I hope everything went as expected, sir. I feel spiritually rejuvenated. After descending the observation tower and stepping outside with Titus, I was once again greeted by the celestial phenomena above. Titus momentarily stopped in his tracks to gaze overhead. It was then I realized that this was his first time seeing it. This is astonishing. I've never seen anything like it before. Yeah, such a heavenly display unveils the divine touch, captivating even the most devoted observers. I couldn't have said it better myself. After savoring the spectacle for a final moment, Titus guided me to the motorcade. I resumed my journey back to the palace. I'm glad to hear we shared a similar experience. The alignment to the 6 stars has not only graced us with this ethereal beauty, but illuminated the path I am to embark upon. For the rest of our drive, Titus and I discussed destiny, the intricate workings of fate as guided by the stars above. Ah! Fund all 3 nerdy charities. Damn. Celestial Spectacle unveiled alignment to the 6 stars captivates Rizian skies. Anti-Planetary Society's Million Man March ends in comic failure. Anti-Planetary Societies? That's funny. Arcasia fires the M4 ICBM. Dwight Walker has announced the first successful Arcasian intercontinental ballistic missile test, which was conducted at a military test site at the Nuam Atoll in the middle of the Oceania. The fired missile, codenamed Missile 4, flew several thousands of kilometers toward the direction of UC before crashing down at sea close to the abandoned radioactive Rostov Island. The missile test indicates that Arcasia wants to send a message to UC about island bases in the middle of Oceania, while displaying that the Arcasian military technology has advanced. Will Arcasia be able to catch up to UC in the face of growing contention situations between the superpowers? Holy shit, dude. Good God in heaven. They're gonna kill each other. Everybody's gonna die. The Anti-Planetary Society. That's a funny one. Parallel enforcement activities. Local officials note increased involvement of Suomnia in law enforcement matters. Patrols have been seen accompanying police units, and detainments are occurring without proper coordination. It's unclear who authorized this cooperation, or if anyone did at all. This could become a problem. This could become a problem. Fund all 3 religious charities. In the Rizian Kingdom, faith plays a vital role in the lives of many citizens. The Crown can support religious charities. The choices include backing a Rushist Galkandist or Das Nurist charity, each with its own unique doctrines and influence within Rizian society. Alternatively, the government could opt to refrain from funding any religious organizations, maintaining a stance of more secular government. Fund all 3. Local Galkandist community welcomes the charity spending. Local Das Nurist community happy with charity. King funds the Rushist charity. Thoughts on missiles? Shoot them! Shoot them all! The second you have a missile to shoot, shoot it. Black Tuesday, dude. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. News from Swordland has sent ripples through our economic circles. A dramatic currency crash, triggered by a sudden tripling of their money supply due to recent economic policies. This development led to a panic selling and hyperinflation, causing massive fluctuations in Swordland's currency and quadrupling consumer prices. In response, the Central Bank of Swordland has frozen transactions and slashed interest rates, aiming to stimulate spending. Troubling news from East Merkopa. That's rough. Allow the protests to take place. Gotcha. A student-led protest organized by Easy University students that are challenging Rizia's media laws has gathered momentum. Hundreds of students, joined by activists and journalists, have taken to the streets outside key media outlets, demanding the right to free and independent press. The RPP has voiced their support for the protest. The Rizian intelligence warns that this protest, while still confined to Isa, has the potential to ignite similar movements in other regions if issues are not addressed. Allow the protest. My authority. I am out of cash. They want a large energy sale, but I don't have any energy, dude. Ooh, I'm supposed to have a lot more money at this point. It was early in the morning. Lucita and I were about to depart for a royal visit to Terrador Air Force Base when I got an urgent summons from Hugo. I walked through the council chamber doors to find my uncle and my foreign affairs counselor waiting for me. Mr. Esquivel, Your Grace, to what do I owe this interruption? The two men glanced at each other. Your Majesty, we've received the results from the joint investigation in the Polynesian border incident. Quite simply, our earlier hypotheses that the attack was incited by Pales or staged by a third party were not borne out. Instead, all evidence seemed to indicate an inside job, one masterminded by... He took a deep breath. He couldn't bring himself to go on. Hugo? The named culprit was Lucita Azaro, Your Majesty. The Azaros have been working against me this whole time? Lorento frowned. We don't know the precise details. The Duchess could have been acting in cooperation with her house, or alone. The investigator secured a testimony from the commanding officer at the Fort Ailes garrison. Apparently he told his men to fire on the Polynesians on Duchess Azaro's orders. He was then coerced into altering the reports of the incident to suggest that the Pales was who shot first. Lucita would have to be an idiot to think that she could get away with that. It does seem rather obvious for a military officer of her caliber. She may have been counting on Rizia to invade Pales first and ask questions later. Hugo sighed heavily. To me, these results don't add up. It is far more likely that Pales or someone else is trying to paint Rizia as an aggressor to sabotage our gas deal. I agree that this is far from clear-cut case. Lesbia had officials on the investigation committee after all. But we still have a chance to salvage our gas deal and our diplomatic relations with Pales. We just have to ensure the blame for the border attack falls fully on Duchess Azaro's shoulders, not ours. That's great news. The Azaro traitor will face justice and our deal can proceed as planned. If she's innocent, or even if she's not, the fallout from House Azaro will be disastrous. Not as disastrous as that from the international community should we fail to acknowledge the results of the investigation. Would I rather be stuck in Revoshal or Rizia? Oh god, dude. I don't know how Rizia plays out historically. I think as more DLC gets released, you have to play it in order. Ugh, Revoshal sucks, though. Revoshal is bad. Rizia is like a whole country. Oh, God. Oh. Revoshal is stuck between a bunch of different... Revoshal is stuck between a bunch of different countries. Rizia is at least a country. I don't fucking know, man. I think both of those suck. I wouldn't want to live under a monarchy. But I sure as shit wouldn't want to live in Revoshal. That place is a fucking dump. I don't know, man. An aide rushed into the chambers with the blue telephone. Duke Reinhardt was calling. Hugo and Lorento stayed silent in the background as I picked up the receiver. King Ramus, I'm assuming you received the same report that I did. Yes, I can't believe my own war counselor would betray me like that. Were you really so surprised, Your Majesty? The volume of his voice rose. Your war counselor's father guided us into this entanglement to begin with. With this gas deal, you are about to acknowledge my country's sovereignty and take the possibility of a second invasion completely off the table. Obviously, she wouldn't stand for that. Our fathers do not determine our destiny. She acted alone. Neither I nor my other counselors had knowledge of it. I believe you. Please, Your Majesty, make this easy for both of us. Arrest the Azaro woman, and we can get on with this deal and our lives. Rest assured, my war counselor will be punished for her treasonous act. I will personally make sure she is shown no mercy. There was a long silence on the other end. Lorento and Hugo sat by with bated breath as I waited for the Duke's response. Very good, Your Majesty. I'm glad we were able to resolve this little hiccup in the civil matter. Unpleasant affair won't even make it into the history books. It's nothing compared to the magnitude of what we are about to accomplish. Needless to say, Princess Venus shall be returned home at once, although I confess I've grown rather fond of having her around. Lorenzo let out a long exhale of release. Hugo's expression didn't change. Thank you for seeing reason, Your Majesty. I apologize for all this trouble. We hung up. Lorenzo, Hugo, and I looked at each other. Nobody spoke for a moment. Well, as the Rizia Imperii police are under Mrs. Zaro's command, I'll order the Golden Guard to detain the Duchess until proper arrest can be made. Tell them to tell her I'm sorry. I will. I thought about the conversation I'd had with Lucita and Monteclar. If House Taurus and House Azaro ever were truly allied, they weren't now. Still lost in thought, I watched as Hugo called Titus into the room and told him he had work to do. I don't know, Graham. Would you rather be in Revachol or Rizia? Investigation reveals Lucita an instigator of border incident. Oof. Lucita Azaro detained for treason. Duchess Lucita Azaro arrested for treason. I want to read the geopolitical one is tiny. International community calls Rizian Polesian handling of incident exemplary. Countries across the world have applauded the way Rizia and Pales handled their recent border incident. After Rizia arrested those responsible, as soon as their role in the plot was revealed, officials from both the ATO and CSB indicated their dissatisfaction that the incident didn't spiral into a wider conflict. Cigarettes are flooding the market. I simply will not meddle with it. The market's being flooded with both legal and illicit tobacco products, driving demand to new heights. While many see this as an economic opportunity, others warn of long-term cost, from public health risks to potential strains on enforcement and regulation. Today, Cesaro has retaken the head of House Cesaro. Lucita is still on my war council. Cigarette sales surge. We all smoking tough. Everybody out here smoking tough. Official signing of the Arius Agreement. For the third time since my coronation, our convoy drove steadily across the cobbled streets of Old Town Pales. The city was familiar to me by now, but the atmosphere was much more cheerful and cordial than it had been during my last visit. I was here to finalize our deal with Duke Reinhardt. After today, Rizia would own the rights to the Arius gas field and a fully operational pipeline to go with it. I want to applaud you again, Your Majesty, for your decisive action. We very narrowly avoided an international incident. We couldn't have done it without your help, Mr. Escable. Much obliged. Upon our arrival to Castle Reinhardt, we were greeted by the smiling faces of the Polesian delegation as well as Duke Reinhardt, waiting for us by the front gate. After exchanging pleasantries, we were led inside. The light of the cameras nearly blinded us as we walked in. We took our seats around a large table, along with the delegates from each country's Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Welcome back, Your Majesty. It's a delight to have you here with us once again. I'm looking forward to settling this Arius business and paving the way for a thaw between Pales and Rizia once and for all. It is a pleasure to be here under such promising circumstances. This deal will mark a new chapter for both of our countries. I must also thank your daughter. It's rare that a princess has such a knack for diplomatic intricacies. Vina blushed and bowed her head. We'll finalize the official details right now. Everything that happens afterwards is just for show. So, he gestured at the assistants in the room. They quickly placed enormous files on the table. Rizia has agreed to purchase the sole right to extract resource from the Arius field. The assistants placed all the necessary papers in front of us to sign. Sign the papers. I signed the papers. The room broke into a lengthy round of applause. To our future partners. To South Marcopa's newest energy superpowers. After exchanging congratulations, we were led outdoors into the courtyard, where a stage had been set up for the ceremony. As we stepped onto the stage, the applause of the crowd blended with the loud music from the speakers and the clicks of camera shutters, overwhelming me for a few seconds. We stood in front of the massive board with an illustrated map of the Antician Sea, depicting the Arius gas field as a bridge connecting Pales and Rizia. The stage itself was an outlandish construct, dominated by a colossal replica of a pipeline with a gigantic valve wheel at its center. The valve was painted in garish colors and connected to a series of exaggerated, cartoonish pipes that snaked their way across the stage, completed with artificial steam vents and blinking lights. What the fuck? Loretto leaned in and whispered, "I certainly didn't expect this." "Well, a deal this important deserves a spectacle. I can't debate that." He pointed at a mock rig surrounding the stage. There were a series of artificial geysers engineered to spout water and colored lights at timed intervals, simulating the dramatic discovery of natural gas. The geysers were choreographed to erupt in unison with the crescendo of the music. Damn, this is amazing. As the music came to an end and the applause subsided, I took a closer look at the crowd that was gathered. Politicians, journalists, and energy executives in their best formal attire were standing somewhat awkwardly amidst this bizarre setting. They cast amused glances at the entertainers who mingled among them. Performers dressed as engineers and geologists, complete with exaggeratingly large yellow helmets. Duke Reinhardt then took the microphone and started explaining the importance of Arius and the deal that had been finalized. After congratulating the delegates and thanking me, he turned towards me. "And I invite His Majesty, King Ramus of Rizia." I took the microphone amidst the applause. Ladies and gentlemen, dear friends, I'd like to thank Duke Reinhardt for inviting us to attend this grand ceremony. Truly significant event, a testament to our country's unbreakable bonds and ever-growing ambition. You got lactose intolerant, Cherry? Aw, fuck, dude, that sucks. That sucks so much. I know they make, lactose, enzymes that you can, like, take to, like, make it easier to digest, but that's awful, man. I'm hoping I don't get that. Oof. Unbreakable bonds and ever-growing ambition. I'm honored to announce the official agreement between our countries. Not only for the people in our country, but also our neighbors in the region as a whole. That in the future, Rizia and Pales will implement many more mutually beneficial joint projects, whether energy or in other fields. Southern Mercopa would like to highlight the importance of Polynesian Rizian friendship to Southern Mercopa. That we take our duties seriously. Foster our partnerships even at the expense of our own wealth. The King of Rizia sees the people of Pales as our brothers and sisters. Let today be the step towards unity between us. Now, let the inauguration of the Pale Stream Pipeline begin. Glavorius Axa Rizia Axa Pales. The crowd roared with applause. I gave the microphone back to the Duke Reinhardt. He shook my hand and beckoned me to follow him. As the moment of the ceremonial valve turning approached, we walked to the massive valve in the middle of the stage and placed our hands on it, posing for the cameras as we did so. Turn the valve. With a dramatic countdown, Reinhardt and I turned the wheel. Instead of the expected mechanical hum, the speakers erupted with the sound of whistles and party horns. The music swelled and the geysers went off in unison, enveloping the area in a colorful mist. After a few more minutes of picture-taking, we left the stage. In the car, I glanced over at the Par Aureus plaque, a celebratory gift from the Rizian Oil and Gas Corporation, sitting snugly on the seat next to me. I couldn't help but feel relieved once we were finally out of Pales. Funny. I got the rock plaque. Dang. A source of pride. Symbol of your nation's self-sufficiency. Look at me to go, dude. I got the toilet to take a shit that it sounded like I was taking a piss. Oh, fuck. Rags, Royal Gossip, Vixel? No, Venus. Agreed. Aureus gas field extractions. Oh, plus 10! Oh! High extractions from the Aureus gas field. Look at the, look at the, look at the, oh. Later, Azaro. See you later, Azaro. Sovereign Memorial Commemoration. The National Mausoleum, high in the hills above Port Trezon, embraced me with its stately presence. I was here for the annual Sovereign Memorial commemoration, a ceremony honoring the former monarchs of Rizia held just outside the mausoleum's entrance. Hugo was overseeing the ceremony, and there was still some time before it was to begin. The hushed corridors were adorned with statues and inscriptions of monarchs from eras long past. The mausoleum stood as a witness to the enduring legacy of Rizia. I had also come to honor the memory of my late wife, Lena, whose resting place could be found within these hallowed grounds as well. Vina, of course, was by my side. Her demeanor had become much more solemn since her return from Pales. She clasped her hand tightly around the bouquet she was holding. Feels like we were just here. I miss her so much. Your mother's presence is timeless, and it's only right that we revisit this place. Timeless, maybe, but sometimes it feels like the memories are slipping away. Revisiting only makes the pain worse. It was my own pleading that steered us into that storm. We should have never set foot on that boat. It's not your fault, Vina. You couldn't have predicted it. It was a tragic accident. But she would still be here if I hadn't asked her to go. Was part of God's plan. We should not question his designs, only trust his wisdom. We still have each other. You know how scared I was losing you during the Pales incident. You were never in danger of losing me, Father. I can take care of myself. It wasn't long before we reached her mother's tomb. Venus set the bouquet in a vase next to the sarcophagus, which had been encased in gold, as was tradition. I gathered these roses from the royal garden. They're the absolute best. We shared a quiet moment without the words until a voice from behind caught our attention. Well, there you are. Well, fancy meeting you here. She hadn't attended a sovereign memorial commemoration since Father's passing. At my age, surprises are as rare as non-gray hairs. Don't act as though my presence is some extraordinary revelation. And for the record, I can still navigate these halls without assistance, thank you very much. Vina, I'm so glad you made it back to Rizia in time to pay your respects. What was my favorite game before Suzerain? Suzerain is not my favorite game. She embraced her granddaughter, then held her at arm's length. I'd say your time among the Paulicians has done wonders for you. You've lost weight. Vina smiled patiently. If I did, it was by accident. I ate very well over there, even after the incident. Candlelit dinners with his grace. Do tell me more. Grandmother, I will remind you that I'm spoken for. Speaking of which, I'm going to meet Manus for a short walk before the ceremony. He didn't feel like joining you here. His duties as a delegate must keep him quite busy. Busy with what, dear? You know your father always called his party a zoo full of paper tigers. Her eyes swept across the room, coming to rest on Lena's grave. Forgive my lack of decorum. I should treat this day with the gravity it deserves. Gradually she drew near, her eyes conveying unexpressed sentiment. She reached out and took Vina's hand, giving it a gentle squeeze. She was an extraordinary woman, your mother. I'd even go as far to say she was like a daughter to me. I wish I'd known her as well as you did. Grandmother's exaggerating, Vina. She didn't know your mother at all. I had no idea you felt that way about her. Come now, you know I'm not the only one for garish displays of emotion. But it's true, I did grow to love her dearly. She smiled in fond recollection. I know she would have been proud of the person you become, Vina. Look at how you handled yourself in Pales. The perfect example of royal grace and dignity. Remarkable strength and resilience. Despite Vina's attempts to conceal her emotions, the subtle quiver in her lips and deep sigh betrayed her inner turmoil. Please excuse me. Vina hurried out of the room before anyone could respond. Poor dear, she's been through so much. If anyone deserves to settle down with a nice husband, it's her. She looked at me pointedly. Vina is free to marry whomever she chooses. You, of all people, should understand the importance of love and following one's heart. I don't need a lecture of the importance of love and freedom, thank you. Either way, our girl needs to tie the knot sooner rather than later, for our family to secure its place on the throne. I'm getting sidetracked. Her gaze once again landed on Lena's resting place. I remember the exact moment my feelings toward Princess Lena changed. It was right after the Civil War broke out in Wayland. You two were at Palace Resna for dinner, and Lena and I absconded for tea after you and your father got into another one of your rows. Up to that point, I was adamant that Rizia should accept as few Weshek refugees as possible. But as we discussed the situation, your wife made such a convincing case for empathy and kindness that I was literally moved to tears. She had this way of seeing past politics, straight to the heart of the matter. The next day, I persuaded Valero to open our borders. The humane side of it, the way she would. Who knows what insight she would have to contribute if she were alive today? Len and I had so much in common besides political opinions, too. We both took a single ice cube in our red wine on hot days. But let's get to the reason why I'm here. My mother reached into her handbag and held up a weathered envelope. I took the envelope from her. A love letter from your father. The first one he ever wrote. I want to honor him by giving it back. How very thoughtful. She took the envelope back. It was only gathering dust in my writing desk. Come, let's pay him a visit. My mother left the room and I followed behind. We made our way down the Great Hall, past the resting places of the great leaders, and some not so great who came before me. I often dream about some kind of fiction. I don't often dream at all anymore. When I was younger, when I lived at my parents' place, I used to dream all the time. A much safer environment. But nowadays, I'm so stressed out from socializing, I suppose would be the word, that I rarely get like a good sleep. It wasn't long before the light from the eternal flame, a single torch placed at the late king's sarcophagus, symbolizing a monarch's enduring reign, guided us the rest of the way. As we neared, my mother's pace slowed as if waves of memories pressed upon her. But I said nothing. The flame's flickering glow cast dancing shadows on our path. We stopped just before we reached Father's stone encasing. There you are. We both fell silent. In the royal tradition, this was the resting place of the most recently deceased monarch of Frisia. When I died, I would take my father's place beside the eternal flame, and he would be laid to rest among his forebears. If you don't mind, I'd like to say a few words, dear father. I'll give you some privacy. I gave her some space to allow her a moment between the two of them. She spoke to him in hushed whispers, for much longer than I expected. When she was finished, she took out the love letter and placed it on the sarcophagus. I took this as my cue to return. May he rest in peace as his legacy lives on. For better or worse, his legacy will live on. A testament to how our actions reverberate through time. Recognizing the past influence on the present is crucial, guided by divine blessings. I'm glad you agree. Our name carries weight. It's not just the actions, it's how you carry the responsibility that defines the legacy. The name stands strong, even if it means shouldering the weight alone. I'm pleased to hear it. Sometimes the most profound responsibility is the ones we inherit, not by choice, but by destiny. Indeed, like the divine threads in grand design, guiding us towards a purpose beyond our choosing, much like Father. Bringing Zeal back into the fold will rectify his mistake in giving it away so freely. God willing, we'll honor his memory by finishing what he started. A noble resolve indeed. Your words would have been a source of pride for him, as they are with me. Sometimes in life, we're required to face risks and challenges head-on, whether from hostile actors or simple gossip. The glow of divine providence renders whispers and rumors as transitionary as sunlight on water. Fancy words, almost as if you were trying to deflect from the rumored substance. It was then we heard the far distant rings of the bells of the arch sanctuary of Zilba begin to chime. Right on cue. Shall we head to the ceremony? Yes, we wouldn't want to be late. We're already late, but as king, that's your prerogative. Before departing, I cast a final glance at Father's resting place, and a rush of memories flooded my mind. In accordance with his wishes. May your endeavors to rejuvenate our nation bring about the greatness he envisioned. I took my mother's arm and we departed, leaving my father to his solitude. Stress is the third most common type of death. Death by broken heart. Resilience reigns, former Queen's surprise attendance elevates sovereign memorial commemoration. Upgrade the military production lines. It doesn't look. The kingdom's recently built modern military factories offer a solid foundation to scale up production of land and air units. An expansion would enable the kingdom to strengthen its position, either by preparing for potential conflict or by establishing itself as a competitive player in the international arms market. Doesn't look like that's something that I'm going to be doing. Alright. Okie doke, let's see. We're going to sell military equipment. Sell third batch of military equipment to the international market. We're going to do a large energy sale. We can't do a large energy sale unless we can. We cannot do a large energy sale. I can do a medium global large initial global energy sale. Rizia examines the feasibility of executing a large-scale singular energy export deal, targeting interested parties on the global stage. A substantial sale, strictly limited to surplus energy resources, could bolster our treasury, yet the nuances of international trade and energy market stability are to be keenly navigated. And then Mave Nortis oil field. Mave Nortis oil field construction. Where is this at? A new oil field is set to be developed in Mave Nortis following recent surveys. Nobody's fucking happy with this decision. Following recent surveys confirming significant deposits, the project will focus on extraction and production to expand domestic energy supplies and support economic growth in the region. Infrastructure development will include drilling operations, transport facilities, and worker accommodations. The project is expected to create jobs and drive investment in local industries, contributing to broader economic activities. Mave Nortis. Mave Nortis oil field. I guess we gotta go find that. Huh. That's the hospital. Heavy industrial park. Oh, way up there. Nobody's happy about this oil field, huh? Energy exports to increase substantially. In an effort to increase the income of the state, the Treasury has announced that it's authorizing the sale of large quantities of surplus gas to interested global partners. Specific partners are still to be found, but several nations have already expressed interest. During the press announcement, it was explicitly stressed that only surplus will get sold in order not to endanger Rizia's domestic supply. Luckily, due to good management practices overseen by King Ramos, the current supply is plenty. And so the oil wars begin. Oil, oil, oil! Hello, Armored. Securing Rizia's energy future, construction has begun on the Mave Nortis oil field, a landmark project that will boost domestic energy production and fuel economic growth. Under His Majesty's vision, this initiative will reduce dependence on foreign imports, strengthen national resources, and create jobs for local workers. State-of-the-art drilling facilities and transportation networks are already under development to ensure the field's long-term success. With work now underway, the kingdom takes another step forward towards energy independence, a future powered by our nation's own resources. Rizia to become energy exporter. To Mercopan nations that it's looking to step up its export of gas. The country is looking for regional partners to sell to, intending to improve its diplomatic standing through the trade of one of its most valuable resources. Hit the fucking continue button. That's turn 7 next time. We can remove the Galcantis blasphemy law next turn. Wow. We've already announced that we want to be a theocracy, but now we're making that true. Look at this fucking economy, bro! Holy shit! True power. That's true power. Uh-oh, we're going to Dardia next. Morella has something to say. That's pure oil. Pure oil. I can't wait for the next country. I can still look at Agnolia's country, which is very funny. I want to do Gomland. Gomland would go crazy. It's such an important little, like, thoroughfare from the Antician Sea to the, Central Ocean. With that being said, though, that's going to be it for me. Cutting it a little early, but we did a full turn, so it was just a really short turn. Next turn looks like it's going to be very long. Very good. Oh, I can't even see what turn it is. I think I have to load to see what turn it is. Yeah. You can still only play 2 countries. No, I'm so ready for the next country, to be honest. I hope they get done sooner rather than later. All right, everybody. I think that's gonna be it for me tonight. I can't think of any videos that I want to show anybody right now. Do 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 Oh, Soviet, there you are. Found you. Wait, welcome to the channel, brother. Bone Shaker is a good spell. Alright. With that being said, I'm going to be taking off. Let me go check the news. The news. What arm just joined? Sorry! Alright, everybody. Have a good rest of your night. I'm gonna make a schedule tonight, I promise. And I hope everybody reads the article that I posted. If you don't feel like discussing it, it's fine, but it's a good read, so. Alright, everybody. Have a good night. Bye-bye, Johnny.